Welcome to the AMZ Unlocked podcast. I am Kimberly Locke, and today I'm joined by my good friend Nathan Hirsch. Nathan is a lifelong entrepreneur, and according to him, he focuses on the unsexy parts of e-commerce, bookkeeping, and hiring. Nathan is best known as the co-founder of FreeUpNet, which he founded in 2015 with just a $5,000 investment, which he scaled to a $12 million annual revenue. They sold the business in 2019, and currently he is the CEO of Econ Balance, an online monthly bookkeeping service for ecom and digital entrepreneurs, as well as being the CEO of Outsourcing School, which teaches entrepreneurs about making good hiring decisions. Nathan, thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm feeling better and excited for this podcast.
So let's dive in. Tell me about your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, so I'm a longtime entrepreneur. I've never had a real job. I started buying textbooks in college back in 2008, and I had this Amazon account that I was selling textbooks on, and I ended up getting a cease and desist letter from my college telling me to knock it off and stop competing with the bookstore. And I started experimenting with other products to sell on Amazon, and I found baby products. And if you can imagine me running a multi-million-dollar Amazon baby product business out of my college dorm room, that was me. And my business partner and I scaled this business. We really struggled to hire college kids who were super unreliable, but we came across virtual assistants and built a great team to help us run the business. We transitioned that into becoming FreeUp, a marketplace for other e-commerce sellers to hire great virtual assistants. And we ran FreeUp for 4 years. We were acquired in 2019, and now we work on a few different ventures. We have Outsourcing School, which teaches entrepreneurs our hiring process, and Econ Balance, a monthly bookkeeping service for e-commerce sellers. So I've kind of been all over the place and taking lessons that I learned from past businesses and applying them to future ones.
Fantastic. And what are some of the really big lessons that you learned during this crazy journey? That actually cracks me up that you were a college student selling baby products, because you didn't have any babies in your life at that time, did you?
I did not. No, a single college guy just selling baby products out of my college frat house. And it was a pretty wild time. I feel like I've learned every lesson that entrepreneurs kind of go through. I learned how to hire. I had no idea what I was doing hiring. My business partner, Connor, I posted a job in a Facebook group, and he was the kid in my business law class that I had never really talked to. And I hired him on the spot. I didn't even interview him, and I got lucky that it was a great hire. But then I proceeded to just make bad hire after bad hire after bad hire after that, and learned a lot about interviewing people for attitude and skill and communication. And after that, I learned a valuable lesson about diversity. We put all our eggs in one basket. We hired a manager to run the whole business. We had one manufacturer who was crushing it and doing 90% of our sales. And one day the manager quit on us, and the manufacturer dropped us. And I was on vacation and I was devastated, but I learned a valuable lesson about diversification and making sure that you don't put all your eggs in one basket. And fast forwarding to FreeUp, it was our first B2B business, our first chance to have our own website and do SEO and marketing and partnerships and podcasts. So we kind of learned all that from scratch through trial and error to build it up to what's our organic marketing blueprint today that we teach a lot in Outsourcing School and use on all of our businesses. So we've definitely been through a lot, and you kind of do trial and error, and you learn from failures, and you apply them to future businesses.
Absolutely. I always say, if you're not earning, you're learning. So I've learned quite a lot in my career so far.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only, you can learn a little bit. I studied entrepreneurship, so you learn a little bit from going to classes and stuff like that, but the real world is where you actually learn stuff.
You can only learn so much from the books and in the classroom, and then when you get out in the real world, it's completely different.
Yeah, completely different. And a lot of stuff they don't teach you in school. I mean, it's one of the reasons why we created Outsource School. Like very few people teach you how to hire or how to manage people or promote team leaders or build SOPs. And that's so important.
Oh, absolutely. So is that kind of what led you to create Outsource School? Was just that that's no one really teaches that, and it's a really important part of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I mean the real story is we sold Free Up in 2019, November 2019, and the original plan was to take a few years off, travel the world, kind of enjoy what we had spent so hard building, and then COVID hit a few months later, so we were stuck inside with nothing to do and no business ideas. And a buddy of mine reached out and he said, "Hey man, like a lot of entrepreneurs could use a hiring course. Would you be interested in putting it together?" And I didn't know anything about courses. Connor and I spent a few months working on it, creating a minimum viable product. And our mentality was if we give it to people and they hate it, we'll just refund them and move on to something else. And if they like it, we'll build onto it. And people really liked it. The reviews have been great. And we started adding all of our SOPs to it and turned into a little membership that helps people. And it's been kind of a lot of fun, just not actually providing the VAs, but just giving people the systems and the processes that they can just plug into their own business.
Fantastic. And so without that, because I know you're not an accountant or a CPA, so how did EcomBalance come in? Because that came in before
No,
outsource
after. Outsource School was
after.
2020, and then Econ Balance we didn't start until last year. So yeah, I mean, after we started Outsource School, it became a pretty nice passive income stream for us. It doesn't take 50 hours a week to run a membership. So Connor and I started just brainstorming different ideas, and we had a lot of bad ideas over a good year and a half. And we like certain things in a business. We don't want to create the next Uber. We want to take a market that already exists and just take our small piece of it and kind of our twist on it with good customer service. And we like reoccurring revenue. We like boring businesses like hiring and bookkeeping. So it kind of gave us the idea to kind of start a monthly bookkeeping business. And we did a lot of market research. We interviewed over 100 e-commerce sellers. You can find those interviews on our blog. And yeah, we kind of realized that most bookkeeping companies, they struggle to scale, they struggle to hire, they struggle with stuff like customer service, really anything outside of just bookkeeping. So we put together a bookkeeping team. We did a minimum viable product. We gave a bunch of people 2 free months to try us out and break everything and give us feedback. And that was the beginning of Econ Balance. And now we're kind of full speed ahead.
Fantastic. And I've read some of the blog articles that you've put out. You're putting out some amazing content to really help e-commerce entrepreneurs. So thank you for that. It's helped me a lot. But I guess one of the big questions that I know is something that's talked about a lot in masterminds that I've been part of is, should entrepreneurs be doing their own books?
Entrepreneurs should never be doing their own bookkeeping. And this isn't, even if you don't use my bookkeeping service, take this advice. I mean, it's a terrible use of your time. Your time could be better spent growing your business, making strategic decisions, hiring, launching new products, whatever it is. And B, I would say 9 times out of 10, when we get someone that's done their own books, you just have to pay to redo it later. And cleanup work costs a lot more than catch-up work. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of my take on it. Don't ever do your own books. You find a good bookkeeper. If you're an e-commerce seller, find a bookkeeper that knows e-commerce, and it's always better to just do it right from day one. And no one goes out of business because of their bookkeeping expense, but you do go out of business because you're not making good decisions based on what the numbers are telling you.
Fantastic. So I guess that answers my next question, which was going to be, when is the right time to pass it off? It's from the very beginning. When you're getting started, have someone that's a professional help you set it up from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, the best decision that Connor and I ever made was hiring a bookkeeper from day one in Free Up. Before we were profitable, when we were small, we had very few clients, but we had learned from our Amazon business where bookkeeping was a disaster. We tried doing it ourselves. We would dump it on our CPA at the end of the year. And eventually, towards the end, we hired a good monthly bookkeeper. So with Free Up, we said, hey, we're not going to make that mistake again. We're going to hire a good bookkeeper from day one. And yes, it helped us sell the business because we had 4 years of immaculate financials. But the real thing was it helped us make good decisions every single month based on what the numbers were telling us. And running a monthly finance meeting, which is so key. If anyone wants my agenda, go to econbalance.com/agenda. But every single month, we'd have a finance meeting. We would go through the reports. We would compare this month to last month, this month to the same month last year, and make good decisions based on what the numbers were telling us. And that's free. And that's key.
Absolutely. So I guess outside of not hiring a bookkeeper from the beginning and not staying on top of those monthly metrics, what are some of the other big mistakes that you see sellers making?
Yeah, I mean, there's some like, the right setup is key. Like as an entrepreneur, you don't need to focus on how to reconcile an account, but you need to focus on the right setup. So that means not intermingling personal and business. That means having a business checking account and a business savings account and a business credit card that allows view-only access so your bookkeeper can grab statements. That means using a connecting tool like A2X, so you grab fees and refunds and all this stuff from Amazon and not just using the net deposit from your bank account as the top line of your income statement. It's using the top two accounting tools, either QuickBooks Online or Xero. Those are key there. So, those are focus more on having a good monthly bookkeeping process, and that starts with a good setup, and then hiring a good e-commerce bookkeeper, and then having those meetings every single month that are on your calendar that you don't miss for any reason.
Fantastic. And so what are some of those things that you're looking at in that monthly meeting? I know the answer to this because I have your agenda, but just for our listeners, what are the things that you need to be looking at in that meeting every month?
Yeah. So first of all, there's 3 reports that you should learn how to read. And this is going to help you in life, in business, in stocks, and investing in other companies, whatever it is, income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. So you're going through each of those reports line by line. You're comparing this month to last month, this month to the same month last year, and you're looking for trends. Are your margins going up? Are you unprofitable on one of your products? Is it a waste of your time to have this PPC agency that you're not making money on? So these are the things that you want to go through and make decisions based on what the numbers and what the trends are actually telling you, and understand what's going on, and making sure you're not running out of cash, making sure your business is healthy and you're not taking on too much debt, making sure you're actually profitable on all the products or services that you're offering. So these are just a few things, but you get into that habit every single month of going line by line and making those comparisons, and that's how you really grow your business.
Brilliant. And one of the things I like, because I'm a big numbers person, and my big thing is like, if you don't monitor it, you can't improve it.
Right. I would agree 100%.
Brilliant. So from your experience, what are the outside of, that monthly meeting, but what are the financial numbers that are the most important to know and follow as a business owner? I mean, you've already mentioned cash flow and your profit and loss. So what are some other things that are really important to be keeping an eye on?
Yeah, segmentation is incredibly important, making sure that you segment your different products in different marketplaces. I can't tell you how many sellers are selling 10 products and 2 of them are profitable and they have no idea because it's all clumped together. And then just like time management, like sure, it might make sense for you to be on 5 different marketplaces. It might be a complete waste of your time, and the old 80-20 rule. Your payroll is obviously incredibly important. Should you be hiring people? Do you need to cut back on payroll or move your VA to part-time? Like these are the important decisions that you have to make as a seller, especially in a business that could be seasonal. Obviously you're selling more towards the end of the year anyway, so you need to make sure you have enough cash to get through maybe some of the slower months. All that stuff is key.
Brilliant. And you sold your business. So what are some of the really big things that are important financially and for your accounting and bookkeeping for an entrepreneur who is wanting to sell their business someday?
Yeah. So, you need clean books. If you don't have clean books, you're not going to be able to sell your company, and you need to know your numbers. They're going to ask you a lot of questions. And if what you tell them doesn't match what's in the books, you're not going to be able to go through on the deal. And the other thing to keep in mind is you don't want to hire a bookkeeper when you're going to sell. It could take them months to go back years and clean stuff up. It's not going to be a 1-2 week thing, depending on how far back they have to go. So that's incredibly important there. And some of the best advice that I got was selling the company that we really did was do due diligence on the buyers, just like they did due diligence on you. We wanted to sell to good people that weren't going to sue us, weren't going to end up in court, that were going to honor their word, pay us every penny, treat us well, treat our team well, treat our clients, our customers, our reputation well. And that was a big key. So we wanted to know everything about the people we were buying from, their plans, their past success, their past failure, everything. And that was kind of a key to us. We would rather leave a little money on the table and sell it to really good people than make a little bit more and then have to deal with it for years down the line. So that was kind of key, and really clean financials was the key to all of it.
That is some absolute brilliant advice. I never really thought about it from that perspective. I guess I haven't gotten to the point yet where I'm looking to sell, but I am in the process of making sure that everything is clean and neat and everything's up to date. But I hadn't thought about looking at it that, you need to do your own due diligence on the buyers.
Right. 100%.
Brilliant. So, well, this has been really informative. Now I want to kind of pivot. We've talked about, the bookkeeping and accounting, but what kind of advice do you have when you're starting to bring on those VAs? And I mean, I know Outsourcing School is a great tool to help, but just a few tips for people to kind of, whet their appetite for what they need to know when they're looking to make those hiring decisions.
Yeah, I mean, we like to focus on skill, attitude, and communication. It's a big thing that we preach. Your interviews should be focused on that. We call it our CARE interview process. So communication, attitude, experience, and the R stands for red flags. When we're doing an interview, we're not looking for the right answers. We're looking for the wrong answers. What is this person telling us that shows they don't have the communication we need, we don't have the attitude we need, they don't have the experience we want? And once you find someone that fits all three, the next step is setting expectations. We call it our SICK method: schedule, issues, communication, and culture. And before we hire anyone, we sit down with them for 15, 20 minutes and just go over expectations. What's the schedule you're going to work? How do you handle personal issues, internet, power issues? How are you going to communicate with our team? How to use email? How to use Slack? What is the culture that you're getting into? And really make sure they know what they're getting into and that they want what you have to offer. And if it's not a fit, you'd rather find out before they start than 3 months later after you've trained them and invested a lot of time and money into them. So that's kind of the biggest key that'll solve 70% plus of the VA horror stories you have out there, is interviewing for attitude, skill, and communication, and setting really good expectations before they even start.
That's brilliant advice. Thank you very much. That is going to make some serious impacts on some people, including myself.
Yeah, and you can learn more. You go to Outsourcing School. We have a free hiring packet that you can grab there that has a bunch of stuff to help you get started hiring your first VA.
Fantastic. I will put the links to that and to Econ Balance that you mentioned, especially that agenda, because if you're not having that monthly bookkeeping meeting, you need that agenda so you can stay on top of things. So I'll put the links to both of those in the description for the podcast and the videos.
Sounds good.
Fantastic. Well, Nathan, I really, really appreciate you joining on the podcast today. This has been really insightful, and I appreciate your time very much.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Nathan Hirsch. And you can also follow my business partner, Connor, if you like SEO stuff. Connor Gillivan on LinkedIn. He's crushing it there, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I'll put both of your details for that. And Connor, give him a big thank you for me. His SEO tips on LinkedIn are absolutely fantastic.
Will do. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nathan.